This week's Parsha is Parshas Yisro. Parshas Yisro has within it the monumental event of Mount Sinai, when Moshe received the two tablets which contained the Ten Commandments and gave them to the Jewish people, eventually. What is interesting is actually what is immediately after that event. There is a few short verses right at the end of this week's Parsha which seem to discuss a bunch of non sequitur laws. And their positioning seems not to be connected to the preceding event of Mount Sinai, nor the subsequent laws given at the beginning of next week's Parsha, which discuss the laws of slaves. Let's focus first on the very first law mentioned. It says, Lo sasan iti Elohe chesed v'Elohe zav. Do not make with me, meaning me as God, gods of silver or gold. What is this referring to specifically, especially after the first two commandments specifically prohibited any type of idol worship? So there are many different opinions, but I will just discuss one opinion. One opinion says that you shouldn't understand the words Lasasun ite Elohe chesed v'Elohe zav as meaning to do not make with me gods of silver and gold, meaning idols. What it means is that do not conduct your worship of me, the practice of being a Jew, of having a relationship with God, like the relationship that others have with idols. This means that when a Jew has misfortune arise, he should not blame God or say that obviously God is not all-powerful and therefore I'm going to withdraw myself from his service. Idols, by their very nature, are means to an end. There's a God of war, the God of love, and so on. The God of war you seek out when you want to be victorious in war. The God of love you seek out when you want to win over someone's adoration, and so on. If they fail, so to say, in this endeavor, then you abandon the God because they're ineffective. They haven't given you what you think you need. But with God, it's not that way. And that's not the way we should have a relationship with God, with the true God. This opinion says that we have to bless Hashem not only for the good in our lives, but also for what we perceive as evil, for the events which we consider misfortune. God is the source of everything, and He's the only source of everything. Any intermediary is imagined, and Hashem has absolute control over any type of agent He may use to perform His will. Therefore, the worship of any intermediary is fruitless. God says to worship only Him, and that means that whatever happens, whatever befalls us, whether a simcha, whether a misfortune, it all is sourced from God, only one source. And this is a total metamorphosis of what relationship with God meant at that point in time. Like we said, the false gods, the idols, were a means to an end. But God is not a means to an end. God controls our lives. God guides our lives to specific ends so that we can achieve perfection. In that quest for perfection, we do encounter hurdles, but those hurdles are for our own good. While we may perceive them at the time as misfortune, they will eventually bring us to a more perfect spiritual plane, and that will make us more complete people. That is the very first of the couple of commandments that we have. And at least according to this commentator, it conveys to us that our relationship to God should be absolutely and diametrically opposed to the way idol worshippers view their God. The question for the week is obviously, what is the connection between the rest of the laws, and this law included, to the preceding chapters and to the subsequent chapters? Just to list the laws We have the law that we only may make an altar of soil or of stone which is not hewn. And lastly, when the Kohen goes up to the altar and he has to walk up, he should not take wide strides, because if he does so, he may expose himself indecently. What is the connection? What is the importance, first of all, and what is the connection between these seemingly disparate commandments and either the preceding chapter or the subsequent chapter? Have a good Shabbos.